Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Friday, November 11th, 2016. My name is Rich, and joining me this week is Bijan. How you making out?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Doing good. A little shocked on this side of the border, and I think there's a lot of shock on your side. It's been kind of a crazy week.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. I won't go into the politics of everything. Everybody's got their own politics. You know, we'll keep it out of that. But I do want to say it is a good day in America just by the main fact that just every 2 years, the American public get to vote. And you know, same as Canada for you, Rich. I think a lot of people take for granted just the freedoms that we do have. And just take this time, because I know a lot of people might be elated, some might be terrified. Just remember, you know, we have a lot of freedoms here that not a lot of people get the right to vote and express their own freedoms. And, you know, however you feel about the election, let's accept it, let's move on. But most importantly, let's just be thankful that we have these rights. And in 2 years, because I don't think enough people remember that we have midterm elections for Congress and everything, we have another chance to vote and get your voices heard for what you're most passionate about. And just remember to vote, guys. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Well said. Being an outsider, I'm not going to offer my opinion too much. I know there's been a lot of talk about moving to Canada, and you're always welcome here if you do want to move this way.
I hear you guys are planning to build a wall. I hear Canada's like, screw you guys. Like,
wait, I might have said that a few times.
What's up with that?
You know, it wasn't to keep out people that were trying to find asylum. That wasn't the intention. It actually brought down, I don't know if you heard this or not, the Canadian immigration website went down that late last night.
Oh, yeah. That was quite hilarious. Guys, anybody that's listening, Reddit is quite amazing, and it was quite the source for some funny things last night. Let's just say that. It was quite active.
Okay, so for what we're going to be covering this episode, we're going to be looking at the rest of the Team Ninja Warrior College Madness teams. We're going to actually kind of wrap them all up. So we really should have done more for each episode, but that's all right. We've got 4 teams to cover, or 4 rivalries, so it's 8 teams. And we'll be going into the National Ninja League and basically just kind of prepping everybody for a couple weeks from now when we actually start with the show, which is premiering November 22nd on Esquire.
Dude, College Ninja Warrior like really crept up on us like really quickly, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, oh geez, it's only 2 weeks away. Where did time go?
I don't know. I thought I had it planned out well, and I wasn't even close. I mean, we should have been doing 2 every week, but yeah, it just seemed to come up out of nowhere. Flew right by.
Hey, it's all good. It'll make for a really good full episode. So let's do it, man.
Yeah. So looking at the first rivalry, we've got Michigan versus Ohio State University. And this is what I think they were looking for on the show more than anything. This kind of true rivalry, you know, this big football rivalry called The Game. You know, it's ranked by ESPN in 2000 as the greatest North American sports rivalry. Like, this is the kind of stuff they were really going for. And they got a couple of them, but, you know, for the most part, I think they're just fanning some flames that aren't even there. But it's really interesting to see one like this, where I think you would get some really passionate, you know, fans from those colleges that are going to be really rooting for their team to win.
Yeah, and the good thing is that it really makes a difference, right? When I think you just see it just on their faces and everything, and how much more they're willing to strain when they truly are passionate about representing their college and, you know, just their area, as opposed or transposed to like more of a fake rivalry where they're just not really that into it. So I think it'll make for some really good fireworks, but really some good TV also. Expect some good back and forth, like some smack talking between the teams. They just make it really fun. Yeah, it might be a good episode.
Yeah, so looking at the University of Michigan team, we've got Carl Berkemeyer, Joseph Craig, and Liv Lang. All three are ROTC member basic combat training, people. It's funny, we find a lot of the teams have those commonalities, right? They're all on the climbing team, or they all have something in common. It's even though they're, representing their university, their college, they really seem to group up within that, as, a certain sport or a certain type of athlete.
It makes for a fun designation for the viewer because you can kind of just group them together and they're more recognizable. It's kind of like mixed martial arts, and I apologize if I make that analogy quite often, guys. But this kind of is a mixed mash where it's kind of like mixed, I don't know, obstacle course racing or something. There's different strengths that every team can bring to this sport, and they're going to need a variety of them to excel at it. So with this ROTC, one thing that isn't said as much is these people will probably do very, very well under high intense pressure situations. They're going to be a lot more cohesive as a unit, trusting each other and working with one another. So expect a lot of that. And also hand-eye coordination. Obviously, they're going to be really strong in that. So I'm actually a lot higher up on them. ROTC, just on a piece of paper, doesn't really sound like a lot. But when you look at the training involved with that particular facet, it's going to be something very unique for that team and something that might stand out quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought that was really impressive, actually. I think that would translate really well. And they've got other accolades here, too. Carl's in the college boxing team. He was all-state high school athlete in cross-country and track. So, he's got the speed and the endurance. We've got Joseph, who's a half-marathon runner with A&W obstacles in his garage. So he's got some of that.
Half-marathon runner.
I knew you had...
I'm sorry. I should talk crap, but it's like... really? Okay.
They should have just put marathon runner and left it at that. Like, give the person some credit. Like, you don't have to put half marathon runner there.
Yeah.
Because the other one's a marathon runner too.
It's all relative.
Lives a marathon runner as well. So all three are runners as well. Half marathon, still distance. So they're runners. Cross country, track. So I don't know. I think this is a really strong team to watch.
It's a very strong team. Obviously, they're going to be lower body base focused quite a bit, but ROTC, that does involve some upper body strength obstacles. So I expect a lot from them, but very much if there's one thing to keep an eye out for this team, keep an eye out for the cohesion in the team. You're going to see them talking and working with one another a lot more closely than a bunch of the other teams where they might know each other, but they don't know each other, the same way that these three individuals might. So I expect a lot from this team in that certain area.
All right. And then looking at their rivals here, we've got a really big, discrepancy? A stark contrast, I guess. So you look at CJ Raderman, Clay Raderman, and Bryn Schlemitz. We've got some free running and rock climbing, high school football and track, CrossFit and calisthenics, more high school football, lacrosse and track, NCAA soccer. It's just like a mix of more general popular athletics, I guess, not so much specialized, ROTC training and track and marathons. It is more general sports.
Yeah, but every sport that you're listing off, the main thing is that it involves a lot of running. I haven't seen these guys, but I'm guessing they're going to be more on the skinny side. Just a little guess of mine. So, what's going to be interesting about this matchup is that we have two teams that are going to excel strongly in lower body, something that's kind of rare when it comes to the sport nowadays. It's kind of like just a callback to the beginning seasons of American Ninja Warrior that we covered previously, Rich. So I expect a lot from these two teams of going very, very, very fast. The key to both of these teams are going to be how well they do in the upper body particular obstacles. Like if there is a super intense upper body one that's just going to be killer, we don't know how well these guys are going to do. But one thing I am expecting from both these teams is these guys are going to be going really, really fast. And I think that's going to make for some really fun TV. As for this team, I'm guessing CJ and Clay are related, seeing how they have the same last name and, same college. That's just a little guess of mine. Probably right.
It seems like a good
obviously
guess.
they probably know each other quite well from that front. And from what I'm seeing, CrossFit, free running, they're very in shape. They're very toned. They should have a good understanding of their body. But at the same time, none of these involve obstacles. And that's the one thing that's really making me reticent for being too high up on this team is, they're very athletic, but when you put an athletic person on an obstacle where it involves a lot of technique, we just don't know how well these guys are going to do. Or at least the previous team might have a little bit better understanding of some obstacles from ROTC training and better hand-eye coordination and other things involved. So from this matchup, I'm willing to probably give the slight edge to the previous team. Is it Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan.
University of Michigan. I'm willing to guess University of Michigan takes this one, but overall, I'm expecting a really unique matchup between these two teams where it's going to be very much lower body focused and very, very fast.
Yeah, I think you called it pretty well. I think Michigan got the edge, but you never know. We may not be getting the full story here, right? We're looking at the basics of what we've got. It does seem like they're lacking some of the obstacle experience that we see with the other ones that have even when they mention things like having obstacles in their garage. I mean, if they're going to that level of detail, then obviously they're doing what they can to build them up for the show, right? They're trying to give us as much information as possible. So it seems like these three are probably missing some of that experience with obstacles, with like Spartan races and Tough Mudders and that kind of stuff. But we could certainly be wrong. We'll find out in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The next matchup we have is the University of Wisconsin versus University of Maryland. This one's actually seems to be a new rivalry that's forming. There is a bit of a rivalry going on. There's actually an interesting article about it, about the bad blood that's starting to stir up between them. So I'll have that in the show notes if you want to read up on it. As with most of them, it's about football. So let's take a look at the University of Wisconsin. We've got Taylor Amon, Andrew Philibek, and Zach Kemmerer. Kemmerer? That's a mouthful of a last name.
Kemmerer. I don't know.
We've got a Division I NCAA pole vaulter and club gymnastics, some rock climbing, second in high school state wrestling tournament. Okay. Climber and 4-time Pennsylvania junior wrestling champion. So we got some wrestlers and a pole vaulter.
So remember what I just said about a team being like all lower body folk based? This team is like kind of the opposite, right? I mean, we do have a pole vaulter, but this team is so just stacked in terms of the upper body. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder about their speed, right? Because this is all about speed with Team Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, not just speed, but balance. I mean, a lot of people, there can be some very fast upper body based people, but the two keys to this team in College Ninja Warrior is one, the balance, but most importantly, above all else, is a person's endurance. And I very much question how well they are going to be in terms of the gas tank when it comes to that final warped wall getting up that thing. I mean, if the regular American Ninja Warriors can barely do it, I don't know, man. I'm guessing these guys are going to be a little bit bigger in terms of size, and getting up that warped wall on an empty tank, they might not have anything left. We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's going to be the key to this team. We might expect them, we might see them get a lead halfway through, right? But once they hit that warped wall, we just don't know if they're going to be able to get up that.
Well, here's the interesting thing, right? So with Ninja Warrior, climbers do traditionally very well. Now, Team Ninja Warrior is a little bit of a different ballgame, but rock climbing is definitely a good indicator. And the two guys, Andrew and Zach, are both climbers. And when you look at, I assume Taylor is the female of the group, it says Division I NCAA pole vaulter and club gymnastics. Like those, if I was going to pick two things for a female competitor, that's what I would be looking for sure. Like the female pole vaulters just kill it on the ninja course a lot of times.
Oh yeah, Taylor is definitely the key to this team. I mean, Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I think Taylor is definitely the person that's going to really make or break this team where I expect her to do very well in her matchup with the next whoever she's competing against, and she'll probably make up the whatever deficits the other guys have. Now, the other guys, they are rock climbers, but that, we see rock climbers do well on the show, but they always do well on their second season and their third season. We never see them do well initially on their first season. And the reason is because they have all the strength in their body, but they just don't have that technique down yet. So keep an eye out for that.
All right. So if we look at who they're going to be facing, it is the University of Maryland. We've got Marcos Colon-Papatera, Kevin Merrick, and Delaney Jordan. 2 college cheerleaders and an acrobat / high school cross-country track and field athlete. And actually, Marcos also does parkour and trains at Ninja Warrior gyms. So, interesting team.
Yeah. Obviously, Marcos is the most accomplished in terms of this sport out of the 2 teams. So, I expect a lot from him. And I'm guessing he's the guy since we have a Delaney. I don't know. This whole list is a hot mess for everybody listening. Like, who knows which one? And I say that because the matchups between the genders are very important for the initial runs. If it is going to be the same format than the same as last year, it is very important because we do know that, in some heats, the female matchup really keeps a team alive, and then they can come back in the end and win the whole thing. So it's very important. I don't know. I expect Marcos to kind of be the key to this team and really keep them strong. He's a cheerleader, so he has an extremely strong base and core, very, toned and everything. He's a parkour, so obviously he's fast and has really good endurance. And he trains at Ninja Warrior gyms, so his technique is already on point. So he really doesn't have many, weaknesses. The one weakness that we just can only guesstimate at this point is how strong is he in upper body strength. Maybe he's like one of those more lankier free runners that just don't have the upper body strength. But you have to assume if he trains at Ninja Warrior gym, he's already getting to that point where he's comfortable with the upper body obstacles. So I expect a lot from him.
Yeah, I'm kind of...
With Kevin, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I'm just kind of looking at the matchup here. I would definitely give the edge to Taylor from Wisconsin, the female. So it just matters. And, Kevin only has college cheerleader listed. I don't know how strong... he'll be on the course, so it's
that can mean anything. Really.
Yeah, that could be just about anything. So there's a little bit of a wild card there. Depending on how his matchup goes, they may need to lean on Marcos to do the double duty, right? Win twice to carry the team forward, which will get them so far, right? We saw with the Team Ninja Warrior last year, a good captain can get them to the final of the episode, or even moving on to the semis, but they can't carry the team the whole way through, right? Once they have that relay, you need everybody to be solid, and I don't know that this team's going to have it.
Yeah, you need a well-rounded team, especially for the relay. And yeah, just as you said, this team's going to have a tough time laying out the plan of which person goes where. But if they do it right and if they're comfortable enough on the obstacles, they can do it. But they're going to have a tough night against the other team, I feel.
Yeah, I think so. But again, a lot of assumptions. I can't wait to see some of these teams, and we'll eat our words. These guys will come out and just kill it on the course, and we'll find out that...
Lord knows we've been wrong about this Team Ninja Warrior stuff before. Oh, boy. Yeah. So, yeah, take it with a grain of salt, everybody.
Yeah, my team got eliminated immediately last season, so what do I know?
With that said, our analysis is still on point. We might not always pick the winners, but our analysis is still there.
All right, so looking at the next rivalry, we've got Stanford versus Colorado. This one was kind of interesting because at first it seemed like it was more of an ongoing slaughter than a rivalry when I first looked at it. Stanford had never lost to Colorado since they joined the Pac-12. And they had a matchup last month, and everything I was reading was like about how Colorado was going to get their butts kicked by Stanford. And didn't they turn around and Colorado actually beat them? And they're having a great year. Their football team's gone 7-2. So this is all about football. So in the Ninja world, the question is, are they the underdogs or are they the favorites? So Colorado.
You just know the producers are going to milk this story for every ounce of its being.
Yeah.
This episode is going to be so annoying. Like, they are going to milk it so bad.
Now, University of Colorado, this got our attention, I have to say. So I think this is the first time we've seen this as part of somebody's training. We've got Alexandra Reginold, Bobby Reedy.
It's Reginald.
Is it Reginald? Oh, God.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, I guess so. Alexander Reginald, Bobby Reedy, and Matt Normile. Or Normile. Okay. Anyway, so Alexandra has got listed for her training rock climbing, pole dancing, and yoga, and cross country in high school.
Yeah, so this particular person's got a very, very strong core.
Yes, clearly. And upper body with the rock climbing and cross country. I mean, really kind of all around good set of skills. Bobby's got a climber with certification to teach kids how to climb trees with ropes and harnesses. That is an oddly specific set of skills.
And that's the only training. What? Like, where did they find this person, and what does that mean?
I don't really know. He's like Tarzan the teacher, I guess. We've got Matt.
Weird. I'm just looking at that. I'm like, what? Like, you're really just giving us nothing on that one. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Matt's a rock climber, hiker, and high school athlete, wrestling and cross country. Yeah, I don't know. This is the oddball team. We've got, normally, like I said, they come in little sets of, we've got 3 cheerleaders, or we've got, some ROTC athletes. This is just, I guess they're all rock climbers. If you want to go, yeah, I guess they do have that in common.
I guess, man. Sorry. You don't even have to put this on podcast, but I'm just thinking at this point, like, just looking at these things, I'm like, what would they list for me? Because, like, half the stuff I do, but it's like, it's not really a big accomplishment. Like, I go hiking. Like, what the hell does that mean? Who cares? Right? Like, I'm looking at this. I'm just like, this is so stupid. Like,
for you, they put marathon runner, Spartan beast, or Spartan trifecta, whatever. Yeah, you have accomplishments.
Yeah, but it's like, should I make it like, are they going to make it super long saying hiking? Oh, I like long walks on the beach too. And I don't know, like.
Oh, God, I can't even imagine what they put for me.
Certified to check out books to kids and stuff. I don't know. Like, this is just... Sorry. All right, let's get back to it.
No, I mean, it's a good point, because we're really, in a lot of cases, you might be really super fit, but have nothing to put down. That's why we don't know for sure. These people could be, like, hardcore gym rats, and they're like, what are they going to put for that?
Well, we've got a high school athlete. Yay.
Yeah. I could put that. I made the high school football team. Does that make me a high school athlete?
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird mix. I have no idea about this team, except that, Alexandra seems like she's got the skills needed. The other ones, God only knows.
Alexandra's definitely the the big accomplished one on this team, or the one that's actually pretty fit for the sport. The other guys are just big old question marks, giant question marks.
Hiker. I'm trying to get past the hiker part, and I can't.
Hey, Rich, have you ever hiked a mountain?
A mountain? No, but I've gone hiking. I think most people have gone hiking at some point or another.
Well, there you go. You can be on this show, man.
Yeah.
Just put the accolade hiker. You're set.
Recreational walker.
Walking expert.
All right. And for Stanford, who are the favorites on the other side of the other sports, let's see how their team looks. We've got, Roshina McPherson, Nam Kwong, and Will Roderick. That is the president
You got it.
of the Stanford Rec Climbing Team and Stanford Alpine Club Outdoor Bouldering. a member of the recreational climbing team and
That's big.
previous parkour coach at a ninja gym and a regional, national, and international speed climbing competition, co-founder of the Stanford Climbing Club team. I think we do.
So I wonder who's going to win this matchup, huh?
I think we have our underdog story.
Huh. Jeez, could you like choose a more lopsided matchup? Like, this is ridiculous. With that said, you just know because we're saying that Stanford's going to lose at this point. But oh boy, man, like I just see a one-sided shellacking on this one. It is ridiculous.
I'm telling you,
the
every
stats on this team.
every article I read said that about their matchup in October, about how basically it was one-sided and how badly they're going to get beaten and can the underdogs pull it off and all this stuff. And I almost brushed it off as being, well, they obviously lost. And then I thought, well, I better check. And didn't they didn't they win? So, I mean, it happens.
You just know the producers, Matt Eisman, Akbar, they are, I just know this whole episode, they're going to be praying that Stanford loses just so they can lose their damn minds at the end for the upset.
Yeah.
With that said, I do not see an upset, guys. I mean, this team is ridiculous. This is going to be one of the top favorites to win the entire show. Just everything about them just screams perfectly for the sport. They're all going to be in shape in both upper or lower body. They're all going to know their bodies. They're going to have insane grip strength. It looks like almost all of them know how to rock climb, go bouldering. They have endurance. I don't see really many flaws in this team.
Well,
man.
you know what? Now that I'm reading it, there's a lot of extra wording and official sounding things here. It's actually very strongly upper body for these guys. There is some with Nam having some ninja gym experience, but
Nam's a parkour coach at a ninja gym.
yeah, he for sure. But
it's pretty lower body.
But the rest of them, the other two are just strictly climbing, speed climbing, bouldering, yada yada yada. So maybe not. Maybe
True.
Maybe not quite as one-sided as we first thought.
It is, but I think the way from what we've seen from previous seasons, or last year, I should say, the upper body focused teams do have a slight edge as long as they can keep their endurance. And if you're good at a sport where it's upper body focused, but not necessarily endurance focused, kind of like powerlifting and stuff like that, you might have a tough time. But these are people that do speed climbing, which is a key word there, speed climbing and bouldering. They're going to have the endurance to withstand going throughout the entire course and getting up that warped wall. So I'm not as worried for them when it comes to the lower body and endurance aspects of this sport.
It may come down to that, I don't know if it's the fourth obstacle, the one that keeps switching out, seemed to be key for this matchup, right? It would matter whether they, got a really heavily upper body. I mean, they're all pretty upper body, but some of them are definitely more intensive than others. And if they get the right one, they'll just dominate. Yeah.
I don't know. This might be either my number 1 or 2 team to beat. With that said, just a reminder, guys, next week, Rich and I are going to be picking our top 3 teams to go the furthest in this competition. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're going to...
And just like always, I'm going to destroy you, Rich. So be ready for that,
You made mincemeat in the regular season. We'll see if I can stage a comeback here.
The champ is back. The champ is back.
We do have one more rivalry to cover here.
You have no idea what song that's from, but okay.
Oh, yeah. What? Seriously? Yeah. No, I have no idea.
It's all good.
I'm so...
Keep going.
So out of touch. We've got Texas A&M versus University of Oklahoma. So this is the only rivalry I saw that was actually more focused on basketball than football. These are both big-time NCAA teams with a lot of history, so this is actually a pretty good, solid rivalry as well. It's one that might be interesting to watch. So Texas A&M, they have Katie Haymaker, Will Smithy, and Colin Hummel. That's a high school track star. Will trains at Sam Sands Iron Sports and coaches soccer. And Colin is a former competitive swimmer and diver. That is not exactly a glowing endorsement of training. Other than the Iron Sports thing, it seems kind of lackluster compared to what we've seen in the other teams.
Yeah, it's unique. I'll definitely say that. I what I'll say is this. We talked a lot about endurance tonight, and this team is very strong in terms of that. We have somebody that trains at Iron Sports, but also has a history with soccer, which is obviously a very high endurance base. We have a high school track star that's endurance based, and we have a swimmer, which is just phenomenally about how well you can keep that resting heartbeat down. So if they're careful and they just struggle through these obstacles, if they can make it to the end and the team that they're competing against can't get up that wall, they'll have a shot.
So let's take a look at the team they're against. We've got University of Oklahoma. That's Candace Caldwell, Reese Tomberlin, and Taylor Nietzsche. So Candace, wow, these guys have a lot here. So for Candace, we've got CrossFit, member of the OU club powerlifting team, high school cheerleader, basketball, and all-district softball player. Reese has competitive volleyball and beach volleyball, high school golf, baseball, track, and football player. And Taylor's got CrossFit, NCAA Division I baseball, high school football, and all-district baseball. I can't remember two teams that were actually more unbalanced than this pair.
Yeah, that last matchup we did and this matchup, very lopsided. Sometimes they do these, if you see the bracket things, and I'm curious how they did it by region and rivalries, I guess.
Yeah.
I forget about that. But it kind of feels like they did the brackets of like the the least experienced teams with the super stacked teams. And, that's not to discredit the other team. They definitely have a shot of winning as I laid out the plan, but they're going to have a really tough time up with this group because Candace might be the question mark just because she does have a lot of upper body based things, but then when I say that, it still seems she still has CrossFit and basketball with her. So it's like I can't even really knock her on that. I can't really question her endurance or her speed because it's like, man, she's just all around probably like, really good at everything. Now, how will that translate in terms of doing an obstacle and the technique involved? Who knows? If there's one thing I can say about this team is that they're very accomplished in various facets of sports, but none of their accolades says anything to how well they'll do on an obstacle course. And I have seen time and time again in a lot of the obstacle course races that I've done, let alone Ninja Warrior, that these high-end athletes can fall right on their face when it comes to doing an obstacle. And one thing we saw last year, if you remember, guys, and especially Rich, is there were obstacles like the Dancing Stones where people just completely overlooked it, thought it was nothing, and they fell, and it completely blew their game up. So this team might come in way overconfident and just blow the whole thing.
Yeah, we saw experienced ninjas falling on all over this course from trying to race. So a lot of it's a mental game too, right? Knowing when you need to go fast and when you need to slow down. So yeah, that could change up any of these matchups pretty easily, where one team, seemingly has an advantage, but they're just going all out and not taking their time when they need to.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say about all these teams is, we're talking a lot about their accolades and everything, but when it really comes down to it, in terms of the very end, especially the final matchups when it's, team captain versus team captain or anything like that, it really comes down to heart. And that's something we just can't gauge based on these facts in front of us. So, everything we're saying, take it with a grain of salt. It's really going to be interesting when we see just what these competitors have in the gas tank, and in terms of just how much they're willing to dig deep and just get up that warped wall and, excel when they have nothing left. That's when it's really going to matter. And I'm really interested to see that, especially by the fact that all of these people are unknowns, and that's kind of exciting, Rich. I really enjoyed seeing all my favorite ninjas on Team Ninja Warrior, but there's something about this College Ninja Warrior where I'm getting really excited. It's kind of like, Survivor or any of your favorite reality shows where you've seen all the favorites seasons, but now we're getting a season of complete unknowns where they're all brand new, fresh faces. And there's something fun about that.
Yeah, I think it could definitely be fun. And I love the comparison, right? Because I've gotten sucked back into Survivor this season for the first time in years, and I'm absolutely loving it. So it doesn't have to be some familiar face, right? You can definitely grow fond for somebody over just a couple of episodes and want to see them do well and want to see them succeed. So yeah, it's going to be great. And I am hoping that most of the ninjas themselves that are listening to us right now haven't spoiled it for themselves, right? It'll give them a chance to appreciate Team Ninja Warrior as we are able to by watching it on TV and having it laid out and getting the stories and everything. And I'm sure some of them stuck around to watch it, but I would think it would be a unique opportunity for them to be just on the sidelines enjoying it like everybody else.
Yeah, couldn't say better myself.
So moving on, let's take a look at the National Ninja League. This was a competition in NOLA, which I don't even know. What is NOLA? Do you have any idea?
That's a good question. I have no idea. What is NOLA?
I really should look that up.
Let's look it up.
Yeah, let's do a quick look.
New Orleans. I should have known
that. Oh, for
that.
God's sakes, yeah.
Right? I'm like, wow. Yeah. We're dumb.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I might even leave that in just to show how stupid we can be sometimes. All right. NOLA, New Orleans. So there we had in third place Kim Wenches. She took a very cautious approach. There's some nice balance obstacles there. She ended up going out on the warped wall. Then we saw Grace Sims, who was one of our favorites from Ninja Warrior and from Team Ninja Warrior last year. So unfortunately, they actually lost a lot of the footage of Grace running the course, but they did have some. She was really solid on her laches, but failed the dismount. We didn't quite get to see what she did wrong there, but something in the dismount didn't go right. And in first place, once again, is Rachel Brown, the crazy young ninja who was just killing it on the course yet again. Seemed to go a lot further than the other ladies had. They showed her in a really strange obstacle. She's like hanging and flipping ropes like over some bars to move her way along. What did you think of that obstacle before we move on to where she fell?
Yeah, it's quite unique. I like all these creative obstacles. It's kind of like she's hanging upside down on these bars, and she has to use a rope to... I don't know if she's holding herself up from this rope or she just has to get the rope all the way through these things, but it was unique. We didn't get really a layout of how that obstacle works, but it was creative. I liked that. Dude, I just have to, like, every time, Rachel Brown is so freaking amazing. She's 14 years old and she's killing it on every competition she's on. Like, screw college Ninja Warrior, man, just because of Rachel Brown. I want to see... Like, I don't know if you call it a teenage Ninja Warrior or whatever you want to call it. I want to see something like that where it can be really fun. We already know there's a huge kid audience, It might be something they might want to look into. And, yeah, man, I don't know. She's kind of like the hero of the kids. I started showing my nephew, because he's 13, he's around her age, and just like, hey, look, like, there are kids that are your age doing this stuff, because... I think a lot of kids discredit themselves and like, oh, I can't do that. But this girl's really turning some eyes, and props to her, man. She's amazing.
She ended up falling on a nunchuck obstacle, but she did amazingly well, as we've been saying.
First for the women again.
Yeah. And next up was on the men's side, we had Bobby Zavala, who got third place. He's actually Rachel's teacher, her coach.
Really?
Yeah, they just said it kind of offhand.
That's dope, man.
Yeah. He ended up going out on the same obstacle she did. He went out on the nunchucks as well. And then we had James Bennett, who got second, who seems to be a newcomer. Chris, wasn't familiar with him, and I don't recognize the name offhand either.
He really impressed me, though.
Yeah, he was doing really well.
I haven't seen him, but this guy really, you can tell he's trained a lot on these obstacles, and he did really, really well. Keep an eye out for this guy. What was his name again, Rich?
James Bennett.
James Bennett. I don't know. I can see him doing really well on the show if he ever gets on it. He was very poised, and he definitely knew his stuff.
Yeah, it's funny how you can just, get a read on somebody just from watching them do a few short clips. You like, that person looks extremely comfortable versus the ones that are just gutting through it, right? Like, he looked like he was really solid. It looks like they're already building them. I love how the gyms will just recreate obstacles. Like, they get on the show and that's it. Now there's a circuit board in gyms across America that they're training on it.
That's dope, because if everybody remembers, I was talking a lot of crap about that circuit board, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. If any gyms have a circuit board, I guarantee I can blow through that obstacle. I want to do it just to show everybody that hit up my Twitter being like, oh, you're being too mean on the circuit board, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I've done it before. I'll do it again and record it just to show you if you want me to.
All right. So if any of you listening right now are at MROC, I think that's probably the closest gym.
Right?
Yeah. Call them out on it. Let's get them there and get them on it. So
watch me fail, like, just on the second part of it. It's all a sham.
James actually ended up falling on it, as much as he was doing really well. He did fall there. He was struggling a bit on it. It's worth noting that it wasn't fixed like we saw on the show where the circuit board didn't move. This one was actually moving around as they're trying to negotiate it, so I'm sure that makes it a lot harder.
I love that little detail that they added to that. It's such a small detail, but it adds so much more difficulty to it, because something like the circuit board, it's all about the movement of your body, controlling your body from swinging too much, and also getting that right split-second moment where you can fit it in the little peg, sort of like the pegboard, but even harder. So adding in the shaking from side to side with the chains above it just adds so much more small little detailed, minute, I guess, difficulty additions to this obstacle, and I absolutely love it. I really, really hope if the circuit board comes back with American Ninja Warrior, they do something like that on the show, because that's going to be really fun to watch.
All right, and first place was Briggs Snyder. Super fast, like really solid looking competitor going through.
Yeah, but Greg Snyder, did you notice, like, we were talking about gutting it out? This guy actually is kind of like the epitome of that. It looked like the whole time he was just, you could see on his body, he's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I am going to go all out, man. And props to him. Like, he was a champ enough to do it. It was quite fun to watch, because it was complete polar opposite from the previous run, where you see this guy very poised, knowing what he's doing, very technical, and then this next guy, just like a madman, flying through all these obstacles, being like, screw it, I'll try it,
He had like an epic wipeout at the end,
it was
too.
Fun.
Yeah, when he fell on that last obstacle, I was worried he hurt himself the way he fell.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just thinking back at it now. Everybody, you guys got to watch just these two runs back to back. It's quite something to see.
So that is it. That was our National Ninja League coverage for this week. We will continue to cover it over the coming weeks as we're going into Team Ninja Warrior College Madness, which is way too much of a mouthful. We have really got to just start calling it College Ninja Warrior.
Oh, that's what I call it, and that's what its name's gonna be. I'm not calling it the other ridiculous long name. It's College Ninja Warrior.
College Ninja Warrior.
And it is creeping up, guys. It is a lot closer than I think any of us are ready for. Now, I'm excited.
All right, and if everything goes to plan, we will have a special interview for you next week. So we're crossing our fingers. It's supposed to happen tomorrow, and we're going to try to make that happen. It'll be someone that'll help lead into the College Ninja Warrior, someone who was there, who witnessed it firsthand. That's your hint as to who we might be talking to.
Ooh, the sprinkling. But yeah, it's gonna be fun to do, because Rich and I are gonna have to do some backflips both our lives to get this interview happening in terms of our schedules, but we're gonna make it happen for you guys.
So that is it for this week. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as @NinjaPodcast. You can email me at rich@ninjapodcast.com. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151.
So once again, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great week.
Peace and love, guys. Go America!